Welcome to my podcast, Why Get Wasted? Innovative Solutions to Climate Change. I'm so excited you found us. In this podcast, I'll be talking with really interesting people who've come up with innovative solutions for tackling climate change. There's so much fear and discouragement now, and I know we can all feel helpless to do anything about what we see and know is happening with our planet. But people are creative and resilient, and they can be really smart, and often in times of crisis, really step up to the plate. So I wanted to draw attention and talk further to some people who've come up with their own way to help all of us fight for our planet. And now a little bit about me. My name is Liz Entin, and I'm the founder of Why Get Wasted. We offer customized plans for businesses and events, both personal and professional, to help them be more climate friendly and sustainable. We've worked with everything from festivals and concerts to fashion shows, and even your kid's birthday party or your own dinner party. While doing this, I've just met some really inspiring people. And now I want to share their stories, the companies they've created, and the solutions they've come up with all of you. We can all work together to fix this. And now I hope you enjoy this episode of Why Get Wasted? Innovative Solutions to Climate Change. Hi, everyone. So today I'm speaking with Nazia Siddiqui of Transcend. Welcome, Nazia.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been working on, and what Transcend is about?
Sure, yeah, that's a very loaded question. But I'll definitely start out by introducing myself. So I am a fashion founder based in Seattle, and I launched my company called Transcend back in 2020. That's really when I registered the company. But I'm also a mom to two young kids. So it wasn't until about a year later when, after I launched my first collection. So really 2021 is when the first collection went out, and we are all about giving women what they need in their clothes. So much of fashion that exists out there is all about companies and brands just, creating stuff with the ultimate goal of, pumping their bottom lines, right? Which means cheap fabrics, because obviously they can create it cheaper. It also means, within their supply chain, the folks that are making these pieces are not getting paid living wages as they should. Those are not the details that these companies and brands out there are really paying attention to. And really not putting customer at the forefront, because I know that customers, what if you ask a customer, right, like they would not want to buy from a company that has those practices in place, but intentionally, right, there's no messaging around those pieces to not even ever bring up those questions. So we're trying to basically take it back to the older ways of creating garments. There's a lot of intentionality behind every ethos that we have with the brand. Our aesthetic is very much artsy, I would say, very artistically inclined. We do a lot of colors. We love embroideries and prints. And yeah, it's just very different way of starting a brand. And we really are trying to just do it very differently from how the fashion industry has been so far.
And I know you're eco-friendly, obviously. That's why you're on this podcast. How is Transcend eco-friendly?
Yeah, so Transcend is eco-friendly in multiple ways. It's something that we have been really intentional about from the very beginning. And it's actually part of the reason why I started the brand. Over the years of wanting to launch a brand and starting to work in fashion, I, kept myself updated with what was happening in the industry. And so as I was growing up, just learning about kind of how the industry was operating, it was just a big turnoff. One of the very pivotal elements or pivotal events that took place that really shaped today how Transcend operates was the Rana Plaza collapse that had happened. And this was
Yeah, do you want to tell our listeners about that? I don't know if everyone's heard about that. It's really horrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2013, this was, happening in Bangladesh. Everyone has now, in some way, shape, or form, probably heard of, Rana Plaza or Bangladesh industries being very unethical. But I don't want to generalize, right? Because there's always, even within countries, there's good and bad. But in this particular instance, what happened was in 2013, there was a particular factory where workers were forced to essentially not leave their desks or workstations, even when an inspector had told the managers of this building and manufacturing area that there were cracks that were found in the foundation and the building structurally was damaged. People, garment workers tried to leave and they were basically told to come back and finish their orders. As a result, the building collapsed and, 1,100 garment workers lost their lives. This is something that it got a lot of media attention. So we found out about it, but this was definitely not a one-off case, right? A lot of countries, a lot of fashion specific countries where manufacturing is taking place, they have this problem, but we may not hear about it. So I started digging more and just, keeping myself updated with what is happening in this space within the industry, and also learning about other areas that really, really matter when it comes to sustainability in fashion, like materials. Um, More than 60% of all materials out there, it's made using fossil fuels, which is, oil or petroleum derived. And so what that means is these items that fast fashion industry has really popularized. It is these materials are being used and they're being thrown out. We all know the disposability culture, right? That fast fashion has enabled. Um, Once they're thrown out, they're kind of sitting in a landfill for hundreds and thousands of years because these things don't biodegrade because they're made with plastics. And so not only do they not biodegrade, but there's a lot of gases that are being emitted throughout the years, which is then, ruining our planet's ecosystem. And so these are like low-hanging fruits that I was very hell-bent on just making sure I am not contributing to these problems. And so when I work with a supplier or a manufacturing group, I am vetting these people. I am talking to them, understanding what their ethos are, what they really, what their philosophies are, and how they treat their workers, how their facilities are. Are they clean spaces? Is it ventilated? Are workers getting benefits, living wages? Are they getting the holidays? I mean, these things are really, really important for me to align with when it comes to choosing our suppliers. And then on the material side of things also, from the get-go, it was a very big deal to me to never ever use polyester or other fossil fuel based fabrics. So we're all about natural fabrics. And, when I said we're taking it back to the older ways of creating garments, that's where, there's so much beauty in that. And I'm obsessed with cottons and linens and just breathable natural fabrics, which actually, is a misconception that it's only for summer. It can definitely be worn year round. But that's what we're all about. And those are just two areas how we're taking a stance on sustainability.
What do you mean when you say older ways of creating clothes? How did they used to be created versus how they're created now?
Sure. Yeah, I love that question. So when I say older ways of creating garments, I'll give you an example. Our last collection, which we actually collaborated with Remake on for a part of it, and that collection was made by fabric that was hand woven. When I say hand woven, somebody, the artisans, weavers, they took their, wooden weaving machines. It's not a machine, it's a tool. It's those spinning wheels that we've all seen pictures of, right? And they made fabrics on those wheels for us to be able to create those garments, which meant no machinery was used for the production of the fabric, which essentially means all of that, carbon emission that comes from manufacturing fabrics was completely reduced by using this manual technique of creating a piece of fabric. And I just, feel so lucky to be able to support these crafts because I will tell you, Liz, I visited a lot of artisan communities last year, and consistently every community members, they told me specifically that these crafts that they have, spent their entire lives learning and perfecting, it's dying because obviously everything today is needs to be faster, right? Faster and cheaper. And when you think about handcraft and when you think about just how much effort and time it takes, how much beauty there is in it, in this authentic form of craft, obviously it needs to be valued and then they need to be paid well. And those are not really values that many companies out there really, promote.
Yeah, it's so sad to think how much that's dying. And I mean, just in what it's being replaced with is horrible. It's not like it's
Well,
being
yeah.
replaced with some very cool new thing. Oh,
Yeah,
um,
and that's really key because I know in the name of innovation, there's just so much going backwards that's happening, right? I don't think people realize that sometimes innovation in our day and age means returning to the basics, returning to what we already know. Instead of creating something in a lab somewhere using heavy machinery and then calling that innovation, really think about what that's doing to this world and to the people involved.
and you talked some about your remake collaboration, and I saw you mentioned it on your website. So remake, you're working with fabrics that are hand woven by a special artisan group of people,
Right.
correct? So,
Correct. Correct.
yeah, tell me more about this group, where they are, how you found them, what their story is.
Sure. So that collaboration happened. This is actually an all female enterprise based in India. All of my manufacturing, by the way, takes place in India because originally that's where I'm from and I speak the language. It's also India is a major, major hub for manufacturing and textile industry in general. There's just so much culture and history and just beautiful crafts coming out of there. Um, and so, for me, it just made sense to find the textiles that I was looking for and get the work done because that's where the skills are. Um, and in working with for that particular collection, I actually worked with a group called Saheli Women. They are an all-female team of artisans based in Rajasthan, India. It's like the interiors of that state. And we literally had to travel, I think 3 hours. It was a 3 hour drive from the main city that was closest. But it's a beautiful community that, the founder of that community is Madhu Vaishnav. And she has built this from, just a handful of women who were brought in, taught how to do certain things to create and work for fashion brands like overseas, right? And now that has grown to hundreds of women. And so when I heard about them a long time ago, just stayed in touch, and then finally last year I went and met them and saw kind of how they operate, and it was just so beautiful to see what they're doing because and corporate America can really learn from them because what they're doing is they're giving flex scheduling to all the women that work there. So women get to decide, right? They decide their schedules. They figure out and balance, right? Integrate or balance, however you want to call it, their personal life and their work life now. So they're essentially like they bring their kids to work and the kids are playing and other women that are there, they're like, it's like a village, right? So they're all taking care of the kids, they're playing with the kids, they're making chai, they're hanging out, they're doing all this beautiful creative work together and collaborating. And it was just really, really beautiful to see. And I definitely wanted to support that and be part of that. And so that's where this collection really started. It's an outerwear collection that I launched in spring, and made with fabric that they hand wove, created really beautiful patterns. If you look at those jackets on my website, they're not prints, they're actually hand woven, and the patterns are all woven in. So again, I am really obsessed with that stuff, and through just sharing the stories of what we're creating and how we're creating it, I try to educate others as well about these crafts.
Amazing. And how has it been getting customers? Like, what obstacles are you overcoming? Because I think so sadly, until people really delve in, we're in a culture where we expect to spend like $5 on a t-shirt and
Yeah.
buy 100 of them and throw them out every few months and get constant new ones.
Yeah.
So how much of a struggle has it been to overcome that expectation, and what are you doing to overcome it?
Yeah, so that's a great question again, Liz. I think, when I started out the brand, I was like, hey, we're gonna do everything the right way. We're gonna make choices that are really good, right? Good choices. It's not gonna be selfish, self-interest is not gonna be the philosophy behind this brand. What I very quickly realized is that for customers to buy into a product, right? Buy into a brand, there has to be more than just wanting to do the right thing. You really have to, like, there's such a lack of education when it comes to why something costs $5, or why they never know who's made something, right? It's not something that is just it's not it is very much by design, is what I'm trying to say, right? Because those elements are so key in connecting to a piece of garment, and also cherishing something that by just this automation that has happened in our world, and the speed of creating products, it's just not possible, right, for you to feel any sort of connection with a $5 t-shirt. You're gonna throw it away, sooner or later, because it doesn't serve you. Clothing is more than just fashion or covering your body even. It's more than that. It's definitely deeper than that. I know that, for me to I have a lot of things in my closet that are really old. And it's either things that I just felt like were unique. And, like the things that I bought were just not run-of-the-mill designs, and they fit really well. And they usually have things like, common sense elements like pockets and adjustability. Like those are all things that, a lot of brands are not thinking about. Now I forgot what your original question was, but I want to make sure I
How,
answer that.
how hard of an obstacle has it been to get customers to overcome,
Yeah.
the fast fashion expectations of our current
Yeah.
culture? And what are you doing to reach people to help them overcome that?
Thank you for the reminder, because I was veering off a bit. So yes, coming back to that question, right? I think the intent for a lot of my cohort of entrepreneurs was that we're going to do the right thing, and then customers will buy. The reality is there's a disconnect right now, right? Like customers in the market, they're not necessarily like they're not aware of a lot of the reasons why something is so cheap versus not. And so there has to be this bridge of education that brands have to do. You have to make that connection for the customers, let them know, right? Like why something that is costing you, like let's say it's a $25 t-shirt as opposed to a $5 t-shirt. Why is that more expensive? As a brand, it is our responsibility to do that work. So yeah, as a completely new founder who was out there wanting to do the right thing, I had to really learn that it's really, important for me to help build this community and brand, And I do that by essentially, putting information out there, showing behind the scenes of what we're doing, who we're working with, and just being super, super transparent.
Right. And who is the woman who wears Transcend? What's your customer profile or woman who would identify with it?
Yeah, so my customer, my main profile for the customer is a woman that is 35 years old or up. She is busy. She's living a full life. She's got her hands full and she's loving it, right? Like, of course, there's a lot of responsibilities, but she's also taking time out to take care of herself, her family, living life in a way where she feels like, it's fulfilling. She wants to do the right thing. She wants a better world. She wants a greener planet, but she doesn't necessarily know how to. And so, she's someone who probably, loved art as a child, but maybe has a weird off from that because of the responsibilities and because of having a really busy adult life. Yeah, and customers that come to us really love that they can then reconnect with that inner artist through clothing. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell, the Transcend woman.
And you said there's a new project or part of it that you're just launching or about to launch. Tell us a little when it's launching and tell a little about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. This is so exciting. So, usually when I launch my collections, I launch usually two collections a year. And so my second collection for this year is launching on August 13th, just next week, Tuesday. And we're doing something different. Normally I do pre-orders for all of my collection in order to prevent any kind of waste and inventory collection that happens. And this time it's a pre-order, but it's on Kickstarter. So usually we launch all of our collections on pre-orders in order to avoid inventory waste. And we're doing that again this time around. But the only difference is that this time we're launching on Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform where folks and businesses can launch their projects and tell the story of how the project came about and why it means what it means to you, and get the Kickstarter community to back your project. And so I'm so excited to try out this new channel. I have been working really hard on it for months, and it's finally launching next week. And so yeah, super, super pumped.
Congrats. And I also want to ask, so many people are very understandably feel overwhelmed by low waste and intimidated, and it kind of feels like an all or nothing, or they don't even know what to do next. What's just one step someone who wants to live a more eco-friendly life can take?
Yeah. I know there's so much out there about, do this or that, buy this or that to be sustainable. And I just say that, watch those impulses, right? Anyone who's trying to make you buy now, now, that's a red flag. The best thing you can do, and it's not overwhelming, right, is to keep going back to your closet that you already have with the pieces that already are in there. That's really the best thing you can do. And when you think about what are some of the first steps we can take in order to live more sustainably, just take a breather, slow down, right? It's not going to be the next thing you buy that will make you feel good and feel more rooted and connected. It's going to be just taking stock of your life and all the good things in it already. And then right, once you have that clarity, then you can think about, okay, I want to make sure that my closet is not filled with junk. I want to make sure that my closet has pieces that I value and cherish. And just being more intentional about that next purchase is really all you need to do.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Why Get Wasted? Innovative Solutions to Climate Change. There are so many interesting people doing such great things in the climate space, and I'm really excited to bring them to you. They've inspired me so much, and I hope they inspire you too. So please come visit me and learn more at whygetwasted.com.